I feel like this is like the first giant combat that we've set up in a Yamato series episode. Kind of want to see it. I kind of want there to be enough time left in the episode for it to happen. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're back with another episode of Space Battleship Yamato 2. We come back as we normally do with notes, comments, and a board, so let's go ahead and look at that board first thing. Where the only changelog note I have is that I marked Teresa as dead. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, no other relationship has changed in a while, so that's what it is. So, that said, on to notes. You know, looking back, we are 17 episodes in, and what have we really done? Bought a couple of Comet Empire fleets, got to Terrasat and met Teresa. Shima fell in love, and now Teresa is gone. Honestly, on description, this feels like it could have been 2 or 3 episodes by itself. Like, they took ideas from the movie and just stretched them out without adding much substance. I feel like it would have been different had the sense of adventure and danger still been there. Leaving the solar system in the first season, everything was new. Not just to us, but to the crew as well. Now they don't even treat anything as new. Or, sorry, that might be just hyperbole. It just doesn't feel like they treat anything new. Now it's old hat. Now they consider themselves seasoned, right? And the fact that, for us, the viewer, we are retreading old ground now as well. It's not that I dislike Yamato at this point. It just feels like it's lost that spark that made it great in the first season. Again, that newness. Shima, you can't leave your post, says Kodai, having left his post. Arguably the captain being more important to not leave their post than just sending a runner to find Shima. I think they've made it quite clear that Sabera is trying to usurp the throne using Genets. To what end, though, I have no clue. Just seems to be power for power's sake at the moment. I mean, as I pointed out, she calls out Genets' name when her life is in danger. Even though the Teresa plotline essentially goes nowhere, I appreciate that they gave her time outside of the Yamato crew to conflict with the Comet Empire. Despite what I said earlier, where the show has really excelled in is developing the characters to have side plots, interactions with one another, and just scenes away from the main crew. Dessler's journey of revenge and betrayal, Teresa's backstory and her own struggle with the Comet Empire, Sabera and whatever she's got brewing. I wouldn't call them highlights of the series per se, but they are definitely improvements on Season 1 that are worthy of note. I appreciate that Teresa warned the Comet Empire to stop, then gave them less than a minute before she acted on the threat. I think the expectation was that the Comet Empire would run right over her without her doing anything. But she pulled that trigger faster than some modern anime characters. I dig it. I'm not really sure what the glow in Zorder's eyes were. He just gave his speech about the path of conquest being laid out since long before he was emperor. So it could have been pride. The will of the champion from Hajime no Ippo comes into mind, that she challenged him and the glint was meant to show his resolve. Hell, this is sci-fi. I could half expect him to be an android by the end of all this. Really just up in the air right now. And lastly, so we're in a hurry, making the comet slow down was something of a small victory, but we just let the crew stand around on the outer deck watching instead of taking advantage. I mean, I get the fact they say that they can't warp out just yet, but unless I slept through something mentioned last episode, that was created just for this episode. I don't really know. I mean, they did go through a thing to get here, but there doesn't seem to be, to everything we've seen about how the warp thing works before, there's never been anything on this side of stuff that stops us. Usually it's where we're going. So, I don't know. It just feels weird. It just feels weird not to be on the forward momentum, especially when we sacrificed a character to help our forward momentum. And as usual, we have a comment from Kellen Winslow. You are right that the Comet Empire's speed is pretty crazy. Of course, speed is flaky in the show in general. Sometimes it's slightly more grounded like Star Trek, other times it's just fantasy nonsense like in Star Wars. I'm sure you are right that they figured the audience wouldn't bother to look at it too closely. I suppose that Teresa's act of self-destruction was a way to get the Comet Empire back down to a more manageable speed. I mean, yeah, I assume, but they're never going to cover what the actual numbers were or anything. So, causing the bad guys to take a pause is just as good in narrative sense, I guess, than as saying a number. I guess I guess it takes care of Teresa as well. Her powers were pretty broken, so this episode takes care of that as well, unless she shows up at the very end as a spirit or something. Either way, Shima doesn't get his date with her, lol. You're laughing that Shima lost his only love interest. I mean, her powers, I don't know. The element is that her powers seemed broken when it was the idea that her prayers were hurting everything. But here, in this aspect, she blew up the planet she was standing on to hurt them. I mean, granted, that seems like a dumb idea to begin with because she was hurting them just by her transmission alone, so she probably just could have kept doing that. But, yeah, I mean, when you have to sacrifice yourself to make use of your power, then I don't know. That doesn't seem broken. And her prayer thing is just a backstory thing. The fact that it doesn't come into play here just kind of implies that it's not a thing that we can really use as a power set for herself. I will agree with you that the romantic elements between Teresa and Shima were better than between Starsha and Kodai's brother, but since we we saw absolutely nothing of Kodai's brother's romance until the very end of the show, it's not a high bar to clear. I just wish they had done a bit more with it, but some reason these names just never come to me, even though I must have read them 20 times by now. Mastamuro is more concerned about adventure and the romance of the stars, so to speak, than he is about normal romantic elements. On another topic, does the Emperor know about the plots against him by the witch woman, as I call her? LOL. The way he talked to her and looked at her before Teresa's message came through makes me wonder if he is just playing with her. Hopefully we find out before the end, because I'm pretty sure the third season won't answer those questions. I like the music during the entire destruction scene, but the Yamato still doesn't warp. Then everyone gets out on the ship and dances around in victory. It's just like a scene out of Dragon Ball Z, where there is tons of smoke after an attack, and they wonder if the villain is still okay. And the answer is yes, he's okay. We got a scene where Shima said goodbye to Teresa, though, but we are really racing towards the end now. Sorry I wasn't clear when I said there are only 10, now 7 episodes left. I meant of this season specifically, not until you start watching the remake. I know there is another series, the Bolar Wars, and some movies left. I don't know what the Bolar Wars are. Unless it's the name of one of the movies. Or the next season? Oh, you said another series. I don't know. I've got my script of stuff to watch, so as confused as I am by that, I didn't read ahead to see what the names of stuff were, so. And with all that and the other stuff you and Lessons are checking out, you both have your work cut out for you. Either way, I'm enjoying your and Lessons Gundam and Legend of the Heroes reactions, though, so it's all good. Alright, well, that was that. So nothing left to do but to get on into it and see what we get.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
All right. I should also say ahead of time, I should have brought this up first thing. If I sound any different, this is not the same microphone I typically use. You might notice it's not the taped up headset that I usually wear, which is, as much as it's falling apart, the better headset of the two. Actually technically 3, but the third one is, anyway, a lot of stuff to get into on that. I complained in previous recordings that this side of my face is just freaking hurting me a lot. And this cup thing is a lot more manageable to work with than the other one. Oddly, I think the pressure that it pushes on is negating some of that pain. But the trade-off being that this microphone, I think, is of lower quality than the other one, even though they're supposed to be the same brand and model of headset. I'll deal with that as I can. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with a lot when it comes to these friggin' headsets. Also, I apologize for wearing this again. It's getting super friggin' hot, and I'm trading off comfort for appearance.
Yamato 乗組員に次ぐ白色彗星は現在テレザート星爆発の影響を受け軌道を外れ大きく迂回コースを取った。
Oh, this is Kodai. Sorry, I thought this was the narrator for a second.
しかし白色彗星が従来の軌道に戻るまでその速度を現在の倍に上げても約3日間かかる計算になる。我々はこの時間を最大限有効に使わなければならない。
There's no extra time for you. You move slower.
これより早く地球へ帰るのが我々の使命だ。したがって今より能力の限度いっぱいのワープを行う。衝撃が大きいから全員事故のないよう十分注意するように。
What does shock mean in this aspect?
またワープだとよ。どうもあいつだけは苦手だ。
We've only actually seen like.
1分前。
隊長、ワー
But
プ
don't wake him up.
来てください。スープなんかいらねえよ。
I'd be better to go through warp asleep.
ワープです。ロープだと。俺がいつ首つるって言った。大丈夫ですか？飲みすぎだよ。
20秒前。全員ベルト着用。
Yeah, again, I think we've only experienced warp from character perspective like twice.
5、4、3、2、1、ワープ。
Okay, well. But if Yamato's jumping right there, are we time jumping ahead 40 days, or are they just all going to attack Yamato for no reason?
ワープ終了。異常はないか。
エンジン関係異常なし。
レーダー異常なし。
通信関係異常なし。
So after all that, we didn't even get to see them go through maximum warp.
ワープの新記録だ。しかし、移送レベルに乱れが出ている。こんな無理なワープは何でもできんぞ。真田さん、そうは言っても予定
I mean, it would take Star Trek Voyager 2 years to make that kind of jump.
我々には計り知れない能力がある。2日や3日の遅れはすぐ取り返すはずです。我々は絶対に追いつかれてはならないんです。
So already the Yamato was at least faster than Star Trek ships.
機関の故障はその都度全力を挙げて修理してください。わかった。航海班、何もたもたしてる。速度が落ちているぞ。速度50宇宙ノット、全速前進。
I mean, Teresa gave her life for this. He's got to be dedicated. Or more dedicated than he was before. I think he's just hungover. We already covered the whole drinking thing.
我が帝国は今まで一度たりとも軌道を変えたことはない。今回の軌道変更はガトランティス有史以来の屈辱である。しかし、この広い宇宙で誰一人できなかったことを成し遂げただけでも、テレサには十分に敬意を表した。
I do like his outfit.
屈辱は徹底的に晴らさなければならない。ゲニッツ、マルゼイ艦隊の現在位置はどこだ？はっ。
I'd say probably looks better than Dessler's outfit. Although you combine Dessler's black and red cape with his black outfit. Nope, never mind. His is the same. Okay. So the combat's going to be about the Ballsy fleet, which I, for some reason, thought was already destroyed. Guess I kind of forgot they were out there.
大抵のご命令が下った。我が艦隊は総力を挙げて太陽系に突入し、地球軍を撃滅する。
So have they completed the 10 Andromedas yet, or are we just going normal defense fleet? The fleet that Kodai was controlling in episode 1.
アトランティス・プロキオン方面軍にも伝えられ、直ちに出撃。マルゼイ艦隊と合流し、圧倒的戦闘力を持って太陽系に迫っていった。こちら太陽系外周艦隊第3空域偵察艦。土星基地に緊急連絡。非常事態発生。
Again, all this in one fucking year.
総司令、シリウス構成系前面より大艦隊が太陽系に向かって出撃してきた模様です。大艦隊？白色彗星の前衛艦隊と思われます。艦隊の規模は戦艦80隻、空母66、巡洋艦
That's a lot.
88を確認。未確認の船も多数。
I mean, though we don't know what the defense fleets of the system are.
見る大艦隊です。しかも戦艦空母ともに地球艦隊のそれをはるかに上回る大型艦ということです。総司令、直ちに各前衛基地艦隊の戦闘準備を命じてください。無駄だ。は？命令。太陽系第1第2外周艦隊は1宇宙時間以内に合流。同じく
I mean, you can still warn them.
第3外周艦隊に合流。直ちに土星基地に集結せ。総司令。冥王星、天王星、海王星基地所属艦隊も同じく集結。お待ちください。司令部の許可を得ずに艦隊配置を変更することは。そんな時間はない。早く命令を伝達しろ。
I mean, if he's the commander of the fleets, then it kind of feels like he has the authority to do this.
君は私の作戦参謀ではないのかね。そしてこれは私の命令なのだ。はい、わかりました。
To be fair, he wasn't advising. He was just saying, no, you can't do this. I mean, I feel like this is the right move, unless they've got, like, weapons to destroy mass sections of space, in which case this is the fucking worst move ever. Oh no, that's the Andromedas. Yeah, they've got multiple. I only counted 9. Wait, I must be wrong. Those must not be the Andromedas, because that's way more than 10. So wait, we had this whole conversation about not warning them? And then essentially we did warn them because... Okay, I guess the thing is they must have an Andromeda leading each fleet. So I was just counting regular ships as Andromedas, but every fleet has at least 1 or 2 Andromedas in it. That's probably a good plan. I mean, it sucks if you're one of those other bases, then you've lost your whole defense fleet.
誰がそんな命令を出したんだ。土星基地の土方総司令です。何？長官。長官、土方総司令に中止命令を出してください。
Based on what?
敵本体の前面に前衛艦隊か。土星基地から入電。通信回路を開き。はい。
I say, why would you order him to cancel the orders without knowing why he gave the orders in the first place? Yeah, you would just talk to him first and then find out.
その報告なら受けている。土星軌道を絶対防衛線に設定し、地球連邦全艦隊を集結させ迎撃したいと思います。越権行為だ。
Yeah, the same guy who tried to stop Yamato from leaving before.
太陽系の広大な空間に戦力を分散配置するのは非常に危険です。戦力を集中する方がもっと危険だ。敵の主力は前衛艦隊じゃない。後から白色彗星の本体が迫ってくるんだ。前衛艦隊といっても地球艦隊よりはるかに規模の大きい艦隊だ。
Also, again, you should be able to see or know where the comet is, so shouldn't be worried right now.
どうやって戦うつもりなんだ。どうやって地球を守るつもりなんだ。この戦いに勝たなければ地球が生き残る道はない。白色彗星にはまた別の戦略を考えればいい。無謀だ。
Don't like this guy.
ご許可を願います。
Guy fucking sucks.
君は指揮系統を何と心得てるんだ。
You guys are gonna chain to command us to the grave. I think it is ironic, given his whole "we have the right of way" at the very beginning with the whole landing situation.
もう少し時間をくれたまえ。ご決断願います。では私の権限で作戦を行います。地球の全艦隊は私の指揮下にあるのですから。そうしれ。
I guess it's like a slippery slope. If you let him do this, you kind of open up the path for this to happen again in the future. And then how far away from the military taking control of the civilian government are we, right? Though that's more of a Legends of Galactic Heroes thought.
完了次第空母艦隊は土星基地へ向けて発進せよ。
You know, we're spending a pretty good amount of time setting up. I know I've said before that I'm not one for, like, the massive space combats and everything. I'm more about what goes on around them, what the stakes are. I feel like this is like the first giant combat that we've set up in a Yamato series episode. Kind of want to see it. I kind of want there to be enough time left in the episode for it to happen. At this point, we're already halfway through the episode.
島さんすげえ迫力だな。古代彗星が元の軌道に戻ったぞ。何？こんなに早く。
But at speed, though, is it moving at speed? I guess that's a yes.
5日以内に追いつかれるだろう。ワープだ、古代。ワープしかない。しかし、こう続けてワープするのは危険だ。いや、不可能に近い。今の我々は
To be fair, that is the guy to tell you such things. If there was a way to go faster, I would think it would be him to tell us. Yeah, Captain. Not acting Captain, but Captain.
航路の計算をします。
公開班ワープ準備。限界距離いっぱいの大ワープだ。
Conversely, you could also like send a message ahead of you. All relevant information. That way, if you died in warp, you'd be so they would know.
そんな結果を恐れてちゃ何も解決できないんじゃないんですか。
まあ、その通りだ。
ベルトだ、ベルトを締めてくれ。
隊長、ワープまでにはまだ時間があるっすよ。
いいから。
I mean, we've also seen people belt themselves. So why is he a baby?
どうだ？修理はまだ終わらないか？あと4、5時間かかります。なるべく早く頼むぞ。はい。
The fuck you think we're doing?
焦ってもしょうがないだろう。どこかで休んでいろ。お前少し働きすぎだぞ。
Yeah, no chance he's gonna be able to sleep. I just hate that he wandered downstairs to tell the engineering guys to work harder. You know, if we make her a saint, he's already in the pose.
あなたが何かを忘れようとして一途に任務に打ち込んでる気持ちとってもよくわかる。でもそれじゃ体も神経もボロボロになってしまうわ。
Also, everyone else.
いつもの島君と違う。辛いのよ、今の島君を見てるのが。あなたの仕事はこの先まだまだたくさん残ってるんじゃない？本当の戦いはこれからなのよ。みんなもいろんな思いに耐えて。
Sorry, it did occur to me the other guy's being belted down into his bed for the next 5 hours.
公開班のリーダーがこんなに余裕がなくちゃ誰もついてきやしない。
分かってくれて嬉しいわ。
ユキ、君たちは早く結婚した方がいいんじゃないか。
Because of this?
今度の戦いに絶対に勝つという保証は何もない。生きているうちに君も女の幸せをつかむべきだと思うな。
ありがとう、島君。
I mean, it's strange. I mean, we know why he's saying it. Because he just lost everything, but...
ユキ、君の航路計算はいつも完璧だ。島の心を和らげてくれて。
We already kind of covered this like the beginning of the series.
古代君、私たちきっと平和な地球に帰れるわね。
帰れるとも。
There's no way that everyone is going to be fucking dead at the end of this, the same way that they were in the movie. I think Dessler was already dead by now in the movie. As far as we know, he's still locked up in a room. I mean, could have happened that he died there during the Teresa thing, but I doubt it. There we go. See? Didn't even damage the room.
しばらくねですら。いい知らせがあります。我がガトランティス帝国の地球総攻撃が始まりました。気の毒だけど、お前のヤマトは間もなく我が帝国に破壊されるでしょう。
サーベラー総参謀。
Do something about these sheets.
ヤマトが撃滅されるとなったら、私はもう生きている意味がない。こんなところで生きながらえるより処刑される方を望む。
そう、とうとう音を上げたというわけね。よろしい。今から即決裁判を始めましょう。出なさい。
お、
何をするのです、ですら。
そろそろ置いて。
I legit thought he was going to ask for a gun to kill himself and then shoot them with the gun that we give him.
あ、総参謀長。
落ち着きなさい。
物分かりが良いな。さあ、道案内をしてもらおうか。
I think he's like the first guard to get hit,
総参謀長。
have the gun taken from him, and not be like unconscious right after.
サーベラー総参謀長。なんたることだ。総参謀長。デスラーが逃げた。知ってないの。
Now, where's Talon right now? We could really use Talon's backup. There we go.
タランか。さあ、早く。私がご案内します。
And I imagine since we've been keeping this all on the down low, there's not anyone to tell Zorda what's going on right now. Okay, I thought they were going to blow out the tunnel around him. That's what the flying thing was. I also thought that she was going to kick her. He was going to kick her off of the platform. So where's the Gameless fleet in all of this, though? 'Cause that's where you clearly have got to go back to. I gotta get everything answered right after I ask.
お、鉄艦だ。全艦戦闘配置につけ。たかが一機で突っ込んでくるとは無謀なやつ。
Gonna do the waggle? Gonna do the waggle? No, I guess you could, yeah, could just call.
確かにタラン将軍の首だ。デスラー総統。デスラー総統。何？ガミラス艦隊が？
直ちに戦闘艦を出撃させるのです。一挙に踏み潰しなさい。
Isn't that the second time she's destroyed that thing?
なぜです。 デスラーは不敵にも我が水星帝国から脱出したのです。この上ない恥辱ではありませんか。
恥を知らなければならないのはサーベラー、お前だ。デスラーはやはり立派な男だった。戦線離脱をするような男なら死をかけてまで脱出はしまい。まして
Yeah, I mean,
出撃などしてくるはずがない。
the latter half is true. A deserter, though, would still risk their life to get away.
お前たちはわしを騙したようだな。本来なら処刑するところだが、時が時だ。今回だけは見逃す。二度と愚かな真似をしたら許さ
So there was no point to any of this. I mean, unless they betray him and, like, kill him later. There's no point to anything that's happened so far.
出撃してくる気配が全然ありませんが。
見ろ。あれは
They've sent it back.
私の機関だ。
Which has to be a sign to you that Zordor understands what's happened and is giving you back your stuff.
私はまだ大抵の友情を失っていなかったらしい。
Was there no Gamulus crew on here before?
新ヤマト撃滅せよ。
Seems like they just walked on and there was no crew. Unless this is going to be the movie equivalent of it being commanded by robots.
ダイワープの航路を求めて航行していた。前方にバルゼー艦隊、後方にガビラス艦隊を控え、ヤマトの新たな苦闘が今始まろうとしている。
What did I say? I hope we got enough time for the fight to happen. I was looking forward to a massive fight, a protracted battle between all of the defense forces and Ballsy's fleet, right? Especially when they started giving out fucking numbers, because that's like the Battle of Loom in Gundam stuff, right? Start going over all the details. And they even go like, oh, their battleships and their carriers are much bigger than ours. And it's like, oh, okay, we're underdog fights during this. And that's like, that is top tier shit. Especially when you care about a fight, which I was about to. And then we went through all the song and dance and didn't do a thing. The worst thing that could happen right now is that we get back to next episode or whatever. Or no, that we get back to the system and we just encounter the wreckage, right? Wasn't that what's happened in the movie? That they just come across the wreckage and that's when that got where that guy is, and then he takes over Yamato's command? I would hate that. I would hate that if we've set all this up. Like, oh, we brought all the defenses together, and then Ballsy's fleet's going in, and then Yamato does the final warp, and there's no fight. The fight already happened. I mean, granted, there's ways to do it. Star Trek First Contact, for example, where the idea is that we hear the battle happen, and then the Enterprise breaks orders and goes to the site of the battle, and then you see all the wreckage floating around. Or I guess technically, was it the best of both worlds? The two-parter, the season finale, season premiere of TNG, where the Battle of Wolf 359 happens. Because I think the difference is that one of them we see some of the fighting, and the other one we don't. I think Wolf 359, you see the cube going past, a couple of ships get destroyed, and then the Enterprise arrives, they're chasing after it, and then we see all the destruction. Plus, it kind of gets rehashed in the first episode of Deep Space Nine. So, yeah, I guess I'm not hoping for that, although that would be an effective way to do it, and it would save animation budget, so it's probably what's going to happen. I guess that's the thing. I was so hyped for it from this, only explicitly from the element that a lot of these space combats have kind of sucked. And I felt like they were doing something here. Apparently not this episode, even though this episode was named after it, so clearly that was a jip. I think, oddly though, I really did like this episode. Maybe it was the promise of what was to come, but we didn't get that I liked it for. Maybe not. I don't know. I like Dessler getting out. I like the Sabera and Genetz having like their comeuppance, but then they didn't get that. That was a downfall. The Gamlis was still there. Like I said, I liken that to Gladiator when Russell Crowe's character, Maximus, sorry, I couldn't remember for a second, is being broken out, and his men are waiting for him, and then it turns out, that they betrayed them and everything. This is basically that without the betrayal. But I really like it, because again, Dessler, Gamlis, it's good. I always like the returning villain character. What else is there? I don't really care about, heartless as I am, I don't really care about Shima's trying to overwork himself so he doesn't think about Teresa's death. I get it, that's a very human arc. I appreciate that it's here. At the same time, it doesn't really move the plot forwards. Ironically, Shima's overworking himself is trying to move the plot forwards, but our focusing on it is not moving the plot forwards. I appreciate him talking to Yuki about, hey, why don't you guys get married? But again, another thing there is that they would be married if not for the plot of the season. And, we're kind of throwing out the marriage thing back and forth. That girl, that preppy girl, who's the daughter of the guy who handled the space observation stuff, she was getting married too. She was about to go on her honeymoon. We're like throwing out wedding stuff left and right. And I guess throughout all of this, that guy that we all hate, Saito, he has been tied to a bed. So there's that hilarity. I guess there's not really that much here. It felt like this is a pretty important episode. But at the end of the day, I could take away all of the Yamato stuff. Because, it's just getting prepared to warp again. I really liked the Atlantis, Gamulus stuff. And I enjoyed the let's get ourselves prepared to fight, even though that kind of felt like a bit of a faff. We're not going to warn the bases, and then also command all the units to gather together. You mean the units at the bases? Yeah. You warn the bases then. Maybe you should evacuate the bases so that the personnel aren't there to be overrun, right? Like Pluto. No, Planet 11. Yeah, it was Planet 11. Where they're getting attacked from space with no ability to fire back. We have lead time, get them evacuated, maybe concentrate them in Saturn space, which is going to be where the fight's at, or send them back to Earth, or whatever, Just get them out of harm's way. Also the element that, we don't know, Ballsy's fleet could circumvent Saturn and go straight for Earth, or whatever. I think that's probably it. I know I'm just rambling now. I've managed to stay on topic, I feel like, but I'm just rambling because all I can think of is rehashing things that I just said. So I think I am going to go ahead and end it here. We'll come back next time with notes about the specifics, probably the stuff that I complained about in episode, like the chain of command guy who was rehashing I'm an asshole all over again. But until then, once again, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you again next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?